Hello and welcome to the Black Lives Matter Townhall by Teen Health Initiatives Youth Team. We present the Black Lives Matter Townhall. Sounds good to me. Go right ahead, Kayla.
Okay, so hi, my name's Kayla Diaz. I am 15 and I live in New Jersey. And I just like to talk about, social justice and things like that.
Nice, glad to have you here. Garrett, you going next, young man?
I'm Garrett. I live in New Jersey also. And I'd like to focus on the injustice of the world, especially the justice system.
And last but definitely not least, we have Alex.
My name's Alex, and I'm 15, and I'm from New Jersey, and I came here today because I feel like there's a lot of, like Garrett said, there's a lot of injustice in the, prison system, and just,
Absolutely, there's nothing wrong with being an ally. Good work, Alex. Glad you're here. Got Kayla coming on right now with a racism overview. Pretty much break it down for him, Kayla.
The United States is often taught from the perspective of the dominant culture that is from a colonizer's perspective, without acknowledgement of the racist policies and actions of the U.S. government.
You good? Take your time, girl. You fine. No worries.
Acknowledging racism's existence and its impact in society is a critical part of working toward dismantling it. Racism can take many forms, such as jokes or comments that cause offense or hurt, sometimes unintentionally, name-calling or verbal abuse, harassment or intimidation, or commentary in the media or online that inflames hostility towards certain groups.
That's right. Good work. And then we got Garrett coming in to finish up the racism overview.
Serious racism can result in acts of physical abuse and violence. Racism can directly or indirectly exclude people from accessing services or participating in employment, education, sports, and social activities. It can also occur at a systematic or institutional level through policies, conditions, or practices that disadvantage certain groups. It often manifests through unconscious bias or prejudice. On a structural level, racism serves to perpetuate inequalities in access to power, resources, and opportunities across racial and ethnic groups. The belief that a particular race or ethnicity is inferior or superior to others is sometimes used to justify inequalities.
All right, cool. So microaggressions, a statement, action, or incident regarded as an instance of indirect, subtle, or unintentional discrimination against members of a marginalized group, such as a racial or ethnic minority. So microaggressions, has anybody been through microaggressions? Have you seen microaggressions done to other people? What are your thoughts on microaggressions?
I've seen it happen to a lot of people. This one time, this girl, she has afro hair, and these white guys were throwing things in her hair.
Oh.
And all the time, I see how Black people feel uncomfortable when white people want to touch their hair or things like that.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing. Go ahead, Kayla.
Going off of what Alex said, me having 4C hair, and it's a really kinkier curl. Me having 4C hair, I've been through it a lot because my hair used to be really, really long. But it used to be really, I don't know, my hair used to be so confusing. But my afros, I guess. My curly afros used to be really big. So when I was like little, everybody wanted to touch my hair and stuff. But then my mom seen it and she had to like sit me down and explain to me like why like I shouldn't let people do that and stuff.
Right. And touching your hair is like a microaggression, right? You took it as a microaggression?
I mean, yeah, when she explained to me what that was and stuff, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, got it.
Right. Nice. Gary, you got anything to share on microaggressions?
Yes, I feel like microaggressions is something we see a lot, but not a lot of people say anything about, because when you do, and you're in that space where it's accepted, people are just like, oh, you're overreacting, you're acting like a victim, you know, and they try to say like slavery was such a long time ago and they did nothing about slavery.
Right.
I feel like they try to just blow it off as it's nothing, it's not serious, or like you'll see it in certain neighborhoods, how people talk about certain people, it's indirect. They'll say like that type of person, they'll say subtle stuff that wouldn't exactly make them seem like racist, but when they put it that way, it is.
Absolutely. Great points by all. Good job, guys. Thank you all for sharing, because, you know, this stuff is, some of these things are not easy to talk about. Whether it's happened to you or you've seen it happen, it's uncomfortable for everybody. So thank you for sharing. And now we're going to get into,
Black Lives Matter is a decentralized political and social movement protesting incidents of police brutality and all racially motivated violence against Black people.
Absolutely, great job. While there are specific organizations such as the Black Lives Matter Global Network that label themselves simply as Black Lives Matter, the Black Lives Matter movement comprises a broad array of people and organizations. The slogan Black Lives Matter itself remains untrademarked by any group. The broader movement and its related organizations typically advocate against police violence toward Black people, as well as for various other policy changes considered to be related to Black liberation. So, you guys have anything you want to add to that? Like, who is Black Lives Matter to you guys? What do you see it as? Because some people see it as a hate group. I've heard that in the media. I've seen people say it. What does Black Lives Matter to you guys as teenagers?
I'm not Black, but I feel like Black Lives Matter is helping a lot with racism, because it's giving like Black people a platform and a way to voice how they're feeling and resources for them, and it's making it easier for people to understand and become allies, because I didn't know about Black Lives Matter for a long time, and before then I didn't realize how many things can actually be considered racist, and
Right.
it helps a lot with understanding that and learning and being educated.
What to you, Garrett?
To me, Black Lives Matter it's a very misunderstood group. I feel like a lot of people do see them as just hateful people, and it's a good amount of them that are, but they're not really a part of Black Lives Matter. They're just saying that they are. And I feel like the same thing happens with other things like feminism, you know, back like in the 80s, it was really doing something. Now people just more so see it as a hateful group, because a lot of the people are saying that they're feminists when they're really just being hateful because of what they went through, which isn't right. And I feel like we have to understand what both parties have gone through and why they're acting that way. And we have to understand what's proper behavior, because you can't always just use violence to get something done just because someone else was violent.
Right. That's fair, man. Thank you for sharing, Garrett. Great points. Kayla, what are you thinking? Who is Black Lives Matter to you?
I don't believe that. Well, I'm black. I'm not supposed to believe that, but I don't believe that Black Lives Matter is a hate group at all. I feel like a lot of people say that you can't solve violence with violence, but honestly, I feel like when people try to be heard peacefully, it didn't work. So people are taking a different perspective of it and doing things in a more violent way, which is still wrong because you shouldn't fight violence with violence. But it's honestly like if people weren't being heard when they did it the peaceful way, then I guess we're about to try to get heard in a different approach. I also feel like going on like what Garrett said, I feel like Black Lives Matter is used as a trend a lot. Like people would say they're an ally, but they're really not. They would use Black Lives Matter just to get brownie points, just to be seen as a good person.
Right. Good points, y'all. Good points. And I just want to point out that you guys are young people and all your opinions matter, your thoughts matter, and this is an open forum for anybody to say how they feel. So we're not going to judge anybody. We're going to keep this space open, and it's a free space for you guys to express yourselves. And, other people, everyone doesn't have to agree with each other, but it's all about you guys just getting out your thoughts and your feelings. And if you guys listening want to get out your thoughts and feelings, comment on it. You can comment on whatever's going on. So I'm going to keep this show on the road. And the next we're going to talk about is whitewashing. I'm going to read the definition of it, and then you guys can discuss what you think about whitewashing. So whitewashing is a verb. Paint a wall, building a room with whitewash. The bricks have been whitewashed. That's one definition. There's a second definition. Second definition is deliberately attempt to conceal unpleasant or incriminating facts about someone or something. Whitewashing is taking something that was originally from a person of color and making it seem like it was originally white. Types of food, clothing, and hair are examples of this. This also happens in films. I've seen many cartoon shows with reboots lightening their characters' skin to make it more appealing to white people. This is a problem due to the fact that people of color's ideas are constantly being stolen. When society whitewashes them, representation is barely there. So does anyone have a feeling or thought on whitewashing?
Can my friend Alexis say something?
Absolutely. Alexis, jump right on in.
Okay, hi. I wanted to say about whitewashing that I see it a lot, especially with black fashion and black culture. A lot of white people using locks and putting that in their hair and calling it dreads or locks, when it's just mats when it comes to white people. And they'll wear certain there's waist beads. I think it's from West African culture.
Right.
And it's just super offensive, and then they'll sell it, or they'll be Y2K, and it's just really messed up because they don't give them any credit. And then I don't know how to explain it, but it's just it's fully messed up.
You've explained it pretty well. Good job, Alexis. Anyone else have any thoughts or feelings on whitewashing?
I feel the same way as Alexis about the feminism movement, like Garrett was talking about. I feel like white women treat feminism as it's only for white women. They don't include women of color or black women in it at all. And it's just we need to liberate white women in this. And they don't talk about any struggles of black women with feminism. It's really, really sad.
Darren, great job, Alex and Alexis, y'all in the same room. That's so funny. So, Garrett, Kayla, you have anything? And don't feel forced. If you don't feel comfortable talking about something, you don't have a thought on it, it's absolutely fine. We can move on. But if you do, by all means.
I feel like like the school system is very whitewashed. Because if you think about it, the only time they talk about black people is when they're required to because of the month.
Right.
And like most of our textbooks only talk about like people of color and like indigenous people and stuff. And when you get taught about the monkeys and that type of stuff, how like monkeys turn into humans, and about sorry,
You
like
good?
and like that whole like lesson is probably the only time that I was ever taught about Native Americans and stuff. And I only get taught. I was only taught about black people, like, and the same black people over and over again during Black History Month. And then once Black History Month was over, we just moved on to the next white person.
Right. So that's fair. Thank you for getting out your thoughts. Gary, you got anything on it? If no, we can move on.
No, I don't have anything.
All right, that's cool. No problem. Moving right along. And so far, you guys are doing outstanding, man. Continue the great work. Continue sharing your thoughts and letting your races. Don't ask black or other people of color to do any emotional labor for you. That's good. Or any other labor, really. Gather your people and support ours. All right. Provide financial support to organizations and people who are dedicated to the liberation of black people. Number 4, teach your kids to be actively anti-racist, starting with not being colorblind. Number 5, identify racial inequalities and disparities. And number 6, confront the racist ideas you've held or continue to hold on to. All right, and that's ways to be anti-racist. So what do you guys think on? And first off, let me just explain what anti-racist is. Anti-racist is not saying you're colorblind. It's pretty much saying I'm against racism. I'm against it. It's not that I'm not on the fence. I'm clearly against it. It's not for me. Anybody that it's for is not for me. Anti-racist. So what are you guys' thoughts on anti-racist and how to be anti-racist?
The first step really to being anti-racist is to learn what racism is and how it affects everyone.
Absolutely. Great answer. Great answer. I agree with that 100%. Anyone?
I want to add on to that because I feel like a lot of people claim to be anti-racist, but then they'll still stick around their friends who have said racist things or hang around other people who are racist, which doesn't make sense, because if you really were completely against racism, you wouldn't surround yourself around anyone who slightly agrees with it. And also, yeah, racism is completely taught, and I feel like if we as like people would from the beginning, when we have kids or just anyone, we just have to teach them how to not be racist.
Or just not even bring up the topic.
Yeah, just I feel like we just have to tell them from the beginning that it's wrong, it's not okay, and yeah, that's what I have to add.
Great points. Great points. Thanks for sharing, Alex. You got anything, Caleb? It's alive and well, and the more we talk about it, it's really in the home. You have to be taught not to be racist. You got to be taught that everybody is truly created equal and not hold biases against other people. And that's the root of it. But good job, guys. Thank you for sharing your ideas and thoughts. Black Lives Matter activists seek to draw attention to the many ways in which Black people are treated unfairly in society and the ways in which institutions, laws, and policies help to perpetuate that unfairness.
I feel like with this new era, not exactly the Black Lives Matter's goals, but other people's goals have changed, and there's riots and stuff. So I feel like it's not the Black Lives Matter's fault, but it's just some of the people that are claiming to be within it are changing the goals for a lot of people, which messes up a lot of stuff because people are going around, saying they're just being violent. They don't really want peace, and they're kind of making it true because they don't seem to want peace.
You define white privilege as? Give some examples of white privilege.
So, anyone want to answer those two? What do you define white privilege as, and what are some examples of white privilege?
How do I go? I think white privilege is, I think it is that white people tend to have the upper hand in society with being able to do a lot more with getting away with it, and they can do huge things, and Black people can do like say if a white person were to steal from the store, they just slap on the wrist. But if a Black person were to steal something that they need, they would be put in prison for 15 years. And I think that's pretty much just kind of just the top of what we see.
It's the tip of the iceberg. Tip of the iceberg. Yeah, I feel you. So it's inequality, right? So that essentially what you're saying, Alexis, is it's inequality. Some people have one set of rules, and another group of people have a different set of rules.
Yeah.
And so that's a great example. You guys have any more examples you want to talk about?
Yeah. No matter if you're anti-racist or what, white supremacy and just being racist, it's always going to be in your favor. And like, as a white person, if I were to be in a room with like everyone and they were all Black and I was to call the police, I wouldn't get in trouble. Even if they did nothing, they would automatically be put in jail, or I don't know. It's never fair.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that. Thank you for sharing. Anyone else want to share, or will we moving on?
Yeah, To Kill a Mockingbird, their trial, there was Bob Ewell against Tom Robinson. The Black man lost the trial, even though the evidence pointed in his favor and none of the evidence pointed in Bob Ewell's favor. And Bob Ewell was a trashier person. He didn't work or anything, but they voted with him because he was white. They knew as soon as the lawyer took the case, he knew he would most likely lose it just because it was a white man versus a Black man during that time.
And do you still think that's true to this day?
I think it's true for a lot of things.
Right. Not wrong with that. Anyone else have any more they want to add to this?
That actually reminded me of something. There was a study, and it showed that people are more likely to see Black people as violent, and when other people are victims, they're more likely to think a Black male did the crime and portray them as violent and not victims instead, or just see it from eye level. They're more likely to just, I don't know exactly how to put it, but
no, I get it. They have a bias. They have a bias before they even enter into a relationship, or when they see somebody, there's an instant bias. So I get it. Great point. Great point there. All right, if we have nothing else, we're gonna slide on.
Another form of white privilege, another thing that comes from it, is in school, what you're taught is based off of a lot of white history, or you're mainly taught about white people in lessons. Like Christopher Columbus, they painted him as this amazing guy that founded America, but he was not that at all. He was the complete opposite, actually. And when you're taught about Black history or any other history that's not white, you're taught about all the negatives and not the positives, like how many things Black people have gotten done, amazing things, and how many inventions and like milestones, and how they got back up from what white people did to them.
What is white fragility? I will explain it quickly. White fragility is discomfort and defensiveness on the part of a white person when confronted by information about racial inequality and injustice? Have any takes on white fragility?
Yes.
Alex, go right ahead, Alex. Get it all out, girl.
I know. I see a lot of white people on TikTok and any social media platforms, just any non-black people, they will always have BLM and ACAB in their bios or claim to support things like Black Lives Matter, and they'll never post about it, never advocate for it ever, and they'll see all these things happening with black people and they won't speak on it when they have the privilege to actually be heard. And on, like how you said in the text, how racism is like taught, it doesn't just happen when you're born.
Right.
That also is really true because a long time ago, a lot of racist things were normalized.
Go right ahead.
I've heard in the news and stuff, more places like down south in California, they're starting to ban stuff like, I don't remember where it was, I think it was in Texas, but a school, there were some white kids, they bullied the black kids, they bullied some black kid, they kept on saying the N-word to them, and they tried to, the school tried to stop that, and the town basically wasn't with it, and they were like, you shouldn't be teaching our kids about this stuff. And after all, the town, they kind of won, so now they're not teaching about race really in that school, I guess. And in like California, they banned To Kill a Mockingbird because of some of the stuff, which is a little bit weird to me.
Anybody else have anything to say on that? Yeah, if anyone wants to know more about Black Lives Matter, you can go to Black Lives Matter New Jersey, which is www.blmnj.com. The purpose of Black Lives Matter New Jersey is to give information of the Black Lives Matter movement to everyone in New Jersey. And then if you want a little more information, you can go to the official Black Lives Matter website, which is blacklivesmatter.com. The official Black Lives Matter global network builds power to bring justice, healing, and freedom to Black people across the globe. And we also have more resources compiled by our great panelists, Kayla. And if you want those, please reach out, leave a comment on the bottom of this video, or shoot an email to tmiller@cjfhc.org, and I will make sure you get those. Let's have any parting shots you want to end off your piece with. Everyone say goodbye to the listening public. You guys can go one at a time. Let them know how you feel.
Say that the only really way to stop racism or make it less normalized is to start within your own community. Because I see a lot of bias. I see people with a little hate inside them, and some, they just want, honestly, what's the best, not what benefits them the most. And I think it just starts within your own community. That's where everyone has to start.
Right. Good point. Thank you for sharing it.
A very good experience, and I liked talking about this. And I really agree with what Garrett said, because it's really the only way to try to end racism, even though there's no way it will ever completely end, no matter what, is to help with people in your community, because like you said, that's where it starts off. Like, that's who you surround yourself with, and it'll make it better to tell them, like, doing small things. Like, I feel like posting something on Instagram isn't going to help, but if you go to like your local school or your town, like, and try to tell them something or change something, they'll actually do something to help, and you'll actually like put something in someone's mind and make them think about how to be anti-racist. And yeah, and
Okay, I think that if you see something ever happening in public, I think even if you're someone that's like shy and doesn't like confrontation, I think you should try to step out of your comfort zone and make sure to try your hardest to get to that person and prevent them ever harming somebody else that might hear them speaking that way. And I also think that you should try to help out mutual aid. Like how it was said earlier, like donations and stuff. Like going on wherever you see someone that needs help, struggling a lot with it, even if it's just like housing issues or something. Because I know what a lot of issues with like being able to get jobs is very difficult in a lot of minority communities. Being able to help someone out, even if it's a little bit, can go a long way. And telling people that same thing will be able to maybe like help them understand that the struggle is really real when it comes to somebody's lifestyle. Not lifestyle, but who they are. Yeah,
right,
exactly.
That's right. Great point. All right, Kayla. I think we're ready.
Basically, I feel like before you can completely become an ally, I feel like you need to before you can like help other people become an ally, I feel like you need to become one within yourself. Like get educated on Black lives and racism and all that type of stuff for yourself, and then you can go out and educate other people. A great way that I like to do all that type of stuff is like, one way is supporting like Black owned businesses and like small businesses and stuff like that, like especially with Black owned businesses, because they do have a hard time starting off. Speaking of that, like the resource sheet that I made has a lot of them on that, so there's some there that you can start with. But basically, yeah, like have a good day, I guess.
Great way to end it. That's right. Have a good day. So, I just want to end it off by saying how great you guys all did today. Being able to come to a public forum and say how you feel is a beautiful thing. I suggest you keep raising your voices and being strong, because coming on today, getting on, talking about serious issues at your age takes strength. And I'm proud of each and every one of you guys. Everyone at the CJFHC is proud of you guys. Everyone around the state and listening is proud of you guys. So keep up the good work. And that's all I got. So this has been the Black Lives Matter Town Hall from the Youth Advisory Board. And I hope you guys enjoyed. Leave comments, share it. And we look forward to seeing you for our next Town Hall /podcast. And be looking for that real soon. So have a great rest of your day. Be a great person. Do good things. And peace and love.